Hello friends, my name is Jerry Chapman and I'm here in the shop where we build remote mast motorized microphone stands. Today I'm going to show you how to change the coupling that runs between our motor and drive screw. We use these flexible couplings for a number of reasons. One, they don't require alignment. This can be very difficult to achieve when using a more rigid type coupling. Also, they greatly help reduce motor noise, which, as you know, is a good thing. And if necessary, they can shear, they can break, in the thought of protecting more of our more expensive parts in the stand. Well, how will you know if you have a broken coupling? If you can take the mast and freely move it up and down, and there's no connection anywhere, nothing holding it, then you've likely got a broken coupling. If you can hear the motor running, but the mast is not moving, it's the same thing, you've got a broken coupling. Well, let's get down to actually changing one of these couplings. Okay, the first thing you'll want to do is take a pillow or a towel. You can put your stand on a table or you can put it on a chair, but put something under it so that you don't damage the finish on the stand. I have this stand here with a cradle, a special cradle here in the shop. I know you won't have that, but just make you some way to lay the mast down on a table or a chair so that you don't damage it. And again, as we've already mentioned, you can test the stand by if it's loose, if the mast freely moves like this, then you've got a broken coupling. So I'm going to turn this around. Like this, and zoom in for us. The first thing we need to do is remove these 3 set screws that are around the base right here. There's 3 set screws. So I'm going to do that. There's 1. 2. And 3. Then you need to remove your electrical jack. I'm using a nut driver. If you have one, you can use that, or you can use adjustable wrench or a socket. Remove this nut. Oops, I dropped it. Okay, also has a flat washer on it. So once you've removed that, then you can simply turn and pull the motor out, just like that. Okay, and you will readily notice that it's got a broken coupling there. And so that is what we need to do first. So from here we're going to take it over to our bench and we will take this coupling off and replace it with a new one. Okay, so first we need to remove this set screw. So take a 1/16 Allen wrench. It's best if it's a rather new one because it can be easy to strip these out and you don't want that to happen. But carefully break that loose and pull the broken coupling off. So make sure your hands are clean before you start removing this cap here. You don't want to get any foreign material in there. So take these 4 Phillips head screws out that hold the cap on. Just like that. Then you can remove the motor shaft. Now, once you get that out, put your new coupling onto the shaft, and in between the coupling and the top of the bearing, place a shim. I use these little shims that I have. You can use a feeler gauge or even a small thin piece of plastic, but place it between the bearing and the bottom of the coupling. And at the same time, you see you're pushing all of these parts together, setting that in play. And then take your Allen wrench and tighten up that set screw. Okay, then you will pull that shim out, and you have just a tiny little bit of play there. Make sure it's clean. Also wanted to show you this. At times, when you're pulling that shaft and these inner parts out, your gears can come out. And this can be frightening. It was the first time it happened to me. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull all of these out. There's one, you've got 3. And then you've got more down in the motor. There's 1. There's 2 more. There's 1 more. If your motor comes apart like that, it's not the end of the world. And I want to show you how to build that back very simply. And this is where really you need to make sure your hands are clean. You don't want any kind of dirt or sand or anything to get in here. But with your hands clean, all you have to do is take and put the gears onto the shaft. And then you put the second stage in those gears, and then put these 4 smaller gears on, just like that. And then start the first stage into this barrel gear here. They'll start in there, and then move it in a little bit and start the second stage in. Run it down. There's a spur gear in there, single, that you've got to just turn it a little bit, and it'll engage, push it down like that. So all of those gears are in place now, and we can replace the 4 screws back into the cap now. But I wanted to show you that because it can be frightening when all those gears come out. They don't always come out, but sometimes they do. And it's not a big deal in putting them back together. But you want to put all these screws back in here and tighten them. And then go around, make sure they're all sort of torqued down. Okay, make sure it'll turn all right. And you have a new bearing. You've got nice bearing in play of about 5 thousandths there. And again, you noted that all of this pressure, when the pressure of the microphone stand is on top of this motor, it's not dragging on the inside of the motor. It's all that weight is on top of the bearing. That's what we have to have in this case. And so you must set that in play on that bearing in the bottom of the coupling. So we'll take it from here, and I'll show you how to put it back in. Simple, but put it back into the stand. Suppose you were in this situation, though. You tried to get this set screw out, and either the tiny little Allen wrench stripped, or the socket on the set screw actually stripped out, and you just can't turn that set screw to get that flange off of the motor shaft. I wanted to show you how I get them off. I take a knife and cut as much of this rubber off of the flange as I can, and then I simply place the flange inside the end of a small vise. Secure it on that, and then take a punch and place it on the end of that shaft and drive the shaft through the flange. Be careful that you don't drop your motor. But that's how I get that flange off. The same would be true if on your screw it was all stripped out, your set screw was stripped out. Same thing, cut as much of the rubber off, place it in a vise. Take a punch. Drive it out. Just like that. I wanted to caution you on this matter, though. You don't want to really take this drive screw out of the stand unless you take the 3 screws out of the nut and remove the whole thing. The reason is that if you take this screw out, then this spring mechanism can fly apart. And so it's best not to take it apart for it to stay together. You may have this type, or you may have this type. If it's the red type, then it'll definitely fly apart if you take it apart. This screw and motor is a little different ratio than the older ones that I built. In any case, you need to reach up into the bottom of the stand with a Phillips head screwdriver, remove the 3 screws holding this flange, and remove it that way. Remove the whole thing, take the flange off, and then replace it back in the stand. Okay, we're ready to go back with our motor. But when you start to do this, you may notice that the drive screw is up in the column. So what you can do is take a long screwdriver. It may be at various lengths up in there, but take a screwdriver and you'll be able to turn the bad coupling that's still on that shaft, that drive screw, and turn it out so that you can handle it. Don't turn it out more than about 5 or 6 inches because you don't want it coming out of the anti-backlash nut. Then take the flange off. And you're ready to go back with your motor with the new coupling on it. Then what you want to do is you want to line the seam on the motor casing. There's a seam where the two halves of the metal come together on one side. You want to put that on top and line that up with the slot on the front side of the column at the top. Everything goes back together that way. Also, you'll notice the motor mount, this yellow motor mount, has pockets in it. Those pockets are for these set screws. So as you put this motor up in the column, you need to align those pockets with those holes. So you're kind of looking down in through the hole for the pocket. Then you place your set screws back. And you want these set screws just to be flush with the top of the hole. They don't tighten up, because really you want the motor with the motor mount to float. Don't want it tight. So run these down flush with the surface. Then put your electrical jack back in. It's got a washer and a nut. I just can't hold on to those things very easily. There we go. Tighten it up. And there we have it. Then you can test the stand and you're back in business again. Well, we hope that video will prove helpful. And if you have any other problems or questions concerning our products, please let us know. We're always glad to help. Take care now.